What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I am joined, of course, by the GOAT, True OG, Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening, bro?
Not much, chilling. Last day before New Year. No, tomorrow's New Year's Eve. But funky last weekend of the year, last week of the year, doing the dirty NBA slate after just like a wild Sunday of football / basketball, and the news be dropping already. No Brad Beal. All the Milwaukee dudes is back. Waiting on some of the Minnesota stuff, although I don't think those guys are going to play. It's decent. Slate's starting to grow on me a little bit, but we got that mega chalk with the Wood guy that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I don't think the Christian Wood chalk's going anywhere. But the interesting thing is a shorter slate. And normally on short slates, when you have injuries, people just flock to injuries. But we have injuries pretty much like everywhere. So it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of guys in like the 30-40% range, but maybe not a ton of people in that, aside from Christian Wood, in that 60% range, just because I think some people will be split. But there's obvious chalk. I just think that some of the other guys, like the Magic guys, maybe went from no ownership to now people playing Vooch and playing some of these other guys with Gordon out, and those situations keep unfolding. And we haven't even gotten the Minnesota news. What we know about Minnesota, like you alluded to, is that Karl-Anthony Towns is unlikely to play. That's what they say. And Andrew Wiggins didn't go to shoot around. Apparently he's still sick. So nothing official, but again, like just more stuff can just break, and more chaos can just cut loose. So it'll be interesting on a 6-game slate. If this was like a 15-game slate, it would be a nightmare, but it's only a 6-game slate, so it could be kind of fun. With that said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live. We do this Monday through Friday, the NBA Wise stream, about an hour and 15 minutes before lock, leading you into lock. That is the goal here. Keeping you guys updated with news, and also just letting you know how we react. Don't forget to check out some of the other content we do Monday through Friday. I do a first look core 4 the night before, just kind of a first look for players that stand out. And of course, we do the game by game breakdown now, where we show some of our early projections earlier in the day, go through game by game and see who's projecting well and where we need to make some adjustments minute wise. With that said, hit that like button, guys. Likes go a long way. Allow us to continue to do the dirty night in, night out. With that said, Paulie, let's go ahead and jump into this. As we get news, I'll be updating the projections, and of course my core plays article. All the other content is posted at WiseTake.com for those of you subscribed. Paulie, let's start off with point guards as we always do. 6K and above. We'll start with, what are you looking at?
Core plays. Point guard. You got Dame up there that I'm all right with. I like that game, so I plan to have exposures to a little bit of everyone that's important on both sides. I've seen a lot of Portland in like the perfect lineups over the last few weeks, and Phoenix has been playing really fast, so that should be a pretty solid game. Spencer Dinwiddie really interests me against Minnesota, just getting all the crazy usage for the Nets. Like usage, 37%, 38, 39, 46, 34, and 36 in his last 7 games. Taking in a range of 15 to 29 shots in those 7 games. Double-digit threes, double-digit assist capabilities. So, like him a lot as his price has dipped down. It was 8-7 2 games ago. He hasn't had very good games the last 2. He's only gone for 38 and 35, which may even do the trick on this slate at 7-7. But against Minnesota, I kind of expect a higher scoring, fast-paced, closer game, and bodes well for him. That might be it down to 6. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Them two, Dame and Spencer.
Yeah, I agree that those are the mainstays. With Trae Young out, and the pricing is the way it is. Damian Lillard, you'll see the Portland's going to project well everywhere. It's just the usage is good, and the prices have been soft on them pretty much all season. So expect the Portland players to be popular. Dame is one of those guys, although because of his price, he may not be as popular as, say, Whiteside. We'll talk about later. But Dame in a good spot against Rubio. I'm definitely good with some Dame. And like you said, Dinwiddie, man, you've been preaching Dinwiddie. I initially had him in the core article. I did make a swap just because I felt like there was a player that I wanted a little bit more of. But I'm still going to have a good chunk of Dinwiddie. Just lowered him from maybe the 40 to 50% I was going to play. I just lowered him a little bit, but I'm still playing a lot of them. Very good matchup. Karis LeVert is going to come back any day. So our chances to get Dinwiddie with these 37 to 40% usage rates is coming to a close, and this is a phenomenal matchup for him. So I'm with you. Those are the main two guys, and I'm looking to pay up for a point guard as well. What about under 6K, Mafa?
Yeah, this is where we get a bunch of options. We just learned Brad Beal's out, so IT2, one of my favorite plays down there. And his teammate Jordan McRae, who's just, one of these guys that, like Shabazz Napier, that every time he gets opportunity does well and will eventually probably become the starting point guard for this team once coaches get their shit together. If everyone gets ruled out in Minnesota as expected, then Jeff Teague and Shabazz Napier in a little revenge spot are both very interesting. Also have some interest in Anthony Simons, who's, just been playing great fucking minutes, being aggressive, doing a little bit of everything. And, his specialty is shooting threes, which is great on DraftKings for, a game that could get out of line, especially if Ayton doesn't return. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle Hassan Whiteside. And, Portland is technically better than Phoenix, I think, and they're at home. So maybe there is a little additional blowout run. I don't mind playing a little Eric Bledsoe just because the slate is kind of thin. Maybe some Kendrick Nunn. I could see Miami blowing out Washington, although I have a feeling it's going to be close. But, Nunn kind of just getting a lot of the usage and, maybe a little bit of blowout run usage as well. Like Markelle Fultz a whole lot at 4,800. And then there's like some dart throws for really cheap value. A guy like Kobe White, maybe the Bulls get blown out by Milwaukee, or he plays because he's played well in two of his last three, and Milwaukee's the team that invites the three, and Kobe White really goes off when he's really hot from the outside. Jared Culver, if all those Minnesota guys are out, he did see, a nice little increase from the 14-minute range to 24 in that last game against Cleveland. Went for around 20 DraftKings points. And Tim Frazier, I think, is going to continue to start at point guard for Detroit. He's 3,600, seeing minutes in the 20s, and has gone for 30 twice out of the last four games. Again, more dart throws for value on a small slate, but really like the two Washington guys and two Minnesota guys.
Yeah, one player I forgot to mention at point guard above 6K is Ricky Rubio. I just completely overlooked him, but he's the only other player over 6K at point guard that I'll have a good amount of exposure to. With that said, I think McRae is probably my favorite at the position. I know he's shooting guard eligible in other places, but McRae on DraftKings and on FanDuel looks like a pretty solid option with Beal out. He played 29 minutes in his last game. We know the shots are there. This is a guy that was already in the rotation. So I would expect him to continue to play those minutes. I guess my major concern with him and players on his team is the potential blowout factor. On the one hand, Paul, you and I talked before the show, and Miami could be down for one of those letdown spots. On the other hand, Washington without Beal, I know they played the Knicks
so
tough.
Could Washington.
Right. I know they played the Knicks tough, but that ain't saying much. You know what I mean? So, So I guess that there's some concern, and a problem with McRae is he just came back from injury. So normally I'd say it doesn't matter in garbage time they're going to use him, but they have other guys like Garrison Matthews and some of these other trash players,
Gary Payton,
right, that can go out there. So that leads me to Gary Payton, who I do think we have to make a decision on. He's shooting eligible on FanDuel. I like him on FanDuel a good amount. He's 5'3". You get a lot of credit for steals, and that's really been his main ceiling. His usage rate doesn't look good. His shot attempts don't look good. It's his steals. He's grabbing a lot of them. 6 in each of the 2 out of his last 3 games? He got 6 steals and 1. Like, come on.
Against the Knicks.
Oh, yeah, against the Knicks, both, right?
Both against the Knicks.
So, I don't want to rely on that heavily. On FanDuel, though, it does make sense because you expect him to play a good amount of minutes. But on DraftKings, I do prefer McRae, I think. After that, there's a lot of these guys. Like you said, Markelle Fultz at 4,800. You would expect him to see a little bit of an increase without Aaron Gordon. Great matchup against Atlanta. Eric Bledsoe's making his return. He's cheap on DraftKings. He has a matchup against Chicago. Even in the 25 minutes you would expect him to play, he could still give you pretty good returns against a team like Chicago. Goran Dragic has a very low price, and his ownership is dropping every time we get a piece of news. And if we get information on like the Culvers and Teagues and those guys and Napiers, it could end up falling a little bit more, meaning if we get the cat news. So there's actually a lot of these guys in this range that are low. You mentioned Frazier. If you really wanted the value, I think Chris Dunn is worth looking into. There's a few different ways you can go for sure on this at this position. But McRae right now looking like my favorite. What are your thoughts on McRae, bro?
I like him a ton.
Yeah. Okay. With that said, take us over to shooting guard.
Yeah, so I do like Donnie Mitchell at the top. A little concerned about the game staying close. Utah's probably the second most likely team to play their stars deep into a blowout. And I don't think they play tomorrow. There's only like 4 games tomorrow. Zach LaVine, less interest, but if Chicago keeps that game close with Milwaukee, then it's going to be fast paced, and LaVine will probably be the reason. So I'll have a little bit of him. 10% or less. He has done well against them twice this year. Once this year, and once he kind of dudded. Last year he did pretty well against them as well. So he's kind of like a stack or only kind of guy. Really like Devin Booker. He seems to be in one of those rhythms that, the shots are falling. He shot over 50% the last 2 games from outside. And, he had a 10 assist game in the last game against Sacramento. He's getting a couple peripherals. He just seems to be playing really well. And, he's a guy that's been priced as high as $9K at times this year, and he's 75 in a game that I like. CJ McCollum, another guy from Portland that I'll have a bunch of exposure to. Evan Fournier. With Gordon off the court, he sees an increase in usage. He has been playing well. He's also shot over 50% his last 2 games, including from 3. And we saw him go up to like almost a 30% usage last game when Aaron Gordon left early. So that trend should continue at 6K, and it's Atlanta, just like the nut opponent. Kevin Huerter's price is getting up there. Weird because he's had 2 bad games in a row, but I guess the usage, the shot attempts, he was shot 2 of 12 that last game against the Bulls. But if he shoots his normal percentages, he should be able to make value there. No one really love it at that price, but I do like that game a little bit. And I'm down below 6. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, CJ McCollum, probably my top option here. It's going to be a trend with a lot of the Portland players. I like a lot of Portland tonight. Jimmy Butler is going to be very popular on DraftKings. On FanDuel, maybe not so much. You only pick 2. People are going to pick value and match up. You get a lot of options. A lot of guys underpriced, like Fournier, like Booker. On DraftKings, though, at 7-8, expect Butler to be really popular. I think the last time he played, he went for like 58 earlier this year. There's no Beal, second highest total on the board, but a pretty big spread at that, so something to consider. I'll have a good amount of Butler, somewhere around 30-35%, something like that, just because of the upside. But he's not. I don't think there's as much separation between players like him and the Dinwiddie who we spoke about, and now some of this emerging stuff. Like Troy Brown, that's under, like Gary Payton, like Evan Fournier, like you said. I agree that the Magic players, I wasn't looking at that game at all. I really wasn't looking to take much from it. But once Gordon, I forgot that Gordon got hurt in the last game. So once that became a reality, it was like, all right, well, I'm going to end up grabbing some. But for a 6-game slate, it's deep, man. There's a lot of plays everywhere. Take us under 6K.
Yeah, so you mentioned Troy Brown. I like him quite a bit, as I do all the rest of Washington, just all that usage trickling down. Joe Harris from Brooklyn, I just kind of think that game's close. If long as Cat doesn't play, and even if Cat played, just with Cat hurt, regardless, not 100%, then I think that game stays close. Bruce Brown for value, should get a bunch of minutes. Cam Reddish, 4,700, probably still too cheap. Has big upside for Atlanta with with all that Trey Young usage floating around. Terrence Ross is going to project well at 4,200, getting usage increase. Jordan Clarkson, I think he went off yesterday or 2 days last game. Yeah, he went 7x at his price. The 3 games he has played for 2 games he's played for Utah, he's had close to 30% usage rate, and his price really hasn't moved. He's 4,100, so he makes for a nice value play. At least the numbers say he would be. Kent Bazemore, again, another Portland guy that projects well, although I prefer Anthony Simons. DeAndre Bembry, is seeing a significant increase in minutes the last few games. Played 22, the first game that Trae Young missed. And then Alan Crabb, I think, is probably worth our attention as well at 3,500. Didn't do very well last game, but saw 23 minutes again, just shot very poorly, and that's really what it's going to come down to Crabb. He's very scoring dependent. 2 games ago, he scored 20 points the first game that Trae Young got hurt in and went for 32 DraftKings. Then he shot 2 of 8, scored 5 points, went for 13 DraftKings. If we get the good shooting Alan Crabb, he's going to get you close to 10x value. So he's worth a look as well.
Dirty Town. Yeah, like you said, man, it's a pretty loaded position. Troy Brown is it's just his second year. He was a first-round draft pick last year. He's a young guy, for example, that even in garbage time could get that run, right? He's not dealing with any injury. He's young. Played 38 minutes against the Knicks. I do like Troy Brown quite a bit. The issue, of course, is matchup. It is Miami. You know what I mean? So, for me, the issue comes down a little bit to the matchup. With that said, I think that Kent Bazemore, I hate to say it, but he's a value play today. And with Scal Labissiere getting hurt in the last game, and he's going to be out for like 5 games, they're just even more thin. And Bazemore is a guy that can play the 2 and the 3. They can rotate him around. And it just seems likely that he's going to get 30 or more minutes. So you can make an argument, like Paulie said, to play Anthony Simons. But as far as, probability, he's probably going to get the minutes. I don't mind Simons as a pivot, though. After that, Terrence Ross on DraftKings is going to get, I would imagine, is going to get some ownership. He should. He's 4,200 with an injury. We should see him coming off the bench doing dirts. There's a lot. There's a lot of value here, and there's not a ton of studs to spend it up on. So it's an interesting slate. Paulie, take us over to small forwards.
Do you like Terrence Ross, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I like him. He's like 4,200. He's going to be. We know he's going to shoot. You would expect him to get at least some extra minutes with Gordon out. Just from needing a presence, a scorer on the court at times.
Yeah. All right, small forward at the top. We got Giannis. We're always going to like Giannis, especially on this slate where he's far and away has the highest ceiling. I mean, not even fucking close, really. There's plenty of value, so play him. I like Jonathan Isaac quite a bit. Atlanta's a team that's blocked the most, that turns the ball over the most, and he had 7 steals in his last game. He had 4 and 4 steals 2 and 3 games ago. He had 4 steals, 3 blocks, 4 steals and 2 blocks, and these were against like Portland's and Chicago's. Is like the nut spot for him. Going to see a usage increase, and it's pretty much gone for 30 plus in all except 2 games against Atlanta in his career. Kelly Oubre, I'm just going to keep playing this guy. We love like wings against Portland, and he's playing a shit ton of minutes and doing just a little bit of everything, grabbing rebounds. Portland's really not going to be that big. I mean, all they have is Hassan Whiteside, and he's not going to play much more than 32 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of rebounds floating around, and Hassan don't really He gets the easy rebounds that fall off the rim to him, but he don't run around the court hustling and grab rebounds. So a lot of loose balls with how much these guys shoot from the outside on both teams. So I like him. I like Bojan Bogdanovic. I play wings every time that Detroit is on the slate against them, and he's one I actually kind of like a bit, and at his price tag, there is some upside. Joe Ingles, same exact sentence I just said. Robert Covington, assuming Cat and Wiggins is out, it's going to be a decent play, especially against Brooklyn. And I'm down to 6 again.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis, it's a situation where, like, I don't, part of me is thinking, like, why am I not playing, like, 50 to 60% Giannis? And then, because we have value. Like, it's not hard to make it work. And there's not a lot of other studs. So it's not like you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a money issue. I think what it comes down to is more like the matchup and the fact that Giannis, we know, is a guy that rarely plays the full 35. Like, he can go for 70 so much more than he does. He just doesn't, they use him sparingly as they need to. So with that said, I'd like to be overweight on Giannis. And not saying he's going to be at core status because he doesn't project to be as popular as you'd think. But I guess it's the same mentality I had. But I will try to be overweight if I could pinpoint when I think his ownership's going to be. And I'm assuming he's going to be around the 30%. So the issue, of course, is the slate is kind of deep and the mid-tier is also strong. But with that said, like you said, man, he's got the highest ceiling by far. So I think, 30s and 7s will be 30s and 7s. If that don't make sense to you, I don't know what to tell you. Well, we talked about Butler. We talked about a lot of these guys already. Isaac is the only guy, I'll reiterate, that Paulie said. I'm gonna have probably like around 30% or so of him. I do like the spotties and like everything Paulie said about his defensive stats. Gordon got hurt last game. Isaac went for 48. Go figure. It just I think there's something to it. Paulie, take us down to Value Town.
Yep. Yeah. Value. DeAndre Hunter going to get a ton of minutes for Atlanta. Derek Jones Jr. The runway, like him as well. Just gets a ton of minutes, and they may let him get a shit ton if they are blowing him out. Just let him kind of like put on a show. So, a lot of transition opportunities. That's where he thrives. There's no size on Washington, so he should be able to gobble up rebounds. I think I talked about most of these guys already. Dario Saric is 4,400. Don't mind him if you think the game's going to be close. He's only if we have no DeAndre Ayton, who got upgraded to questionable after going to shoot around today. But, he's 4,400 Saric. Like, in 3 of his last 5 games, he's gone for 24, 27, and 32. We take all those at 4-4. He also dropped a 6 and an 18 in between there. So definitely not a guy we're going to be taking tons of, but someone you can grab some exposure to. I like Thaddeus Young for the Bulls, especially if Markkanen gets ruled out or any one of these Bulls starters gets ruled out. But even without, like, he's been consistently getting you about 6x over the last 10 games. And this is just a awesome spot for him, pace-wise, rebound-wise, and, may see some extra minutes needing to guard Giannis. Duncan Robinson, this guy lives and dies by the 3. He's hit 10 in one game and gone for 50. He's hit 6 in 2 of his last 4 and gone for 27 and 25 and 26 in 3 of his last 5. Like, at 4K, you'd take all that. I don't know how much they're going to need him today, but, he's somebody that could be a really good value play and allow you to get Giannis and Dame or Giannis and Lonnie Mitchell, whoever you want. And that's it. That's all I got.
At this point, we did get some information. Lauri Markkanen is expected to play, is ruled in. We did get information that Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns have both been ruled out. So we can take a quick pause just to kind of address what this means in context to the slate. So we have the situation in Washington with no Beal. We have the situation in Detroit which we haven't even really gotten too much. But we know that Blake Griffin is doubtful and Markieff Morris is already out. So we have a few. That's just a couple. I think we have another one somewhere that we'll get to. But there's injuries all around. The question is which plays are the best from these injury situations, and I guess overall, which are the top? Like if you take a handful of guys who get a boost, like we talked about McCray, Troy Brown, all these guys. Now we have the Minnesota into the equation, which opens up things for like Robert Covington, potentially, not potentially, but Gorgie Dieng. Now, interestingly enough, in the last game these guys played, it was crazy low scoring. It was terrible. Gorgie Dieng, out of nowhere, he's been balling. Out of nowhere, he only got like 20-something minutes. Jeff Teague only got like 20-something minutes. Against Cleveland, in a game that they ultimately, I believe they lost, but it was like a horrible game. It was like a really low scoring, just awful, awful game. Paulie, talk to me about what you think this is for Minnesota, and in turn, how it affects you with Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, I think that helps make this game just closer. It's going to be like a helter-skelter, up and down, faster-paced game now. A lot of scoring coming from the guards, whether it's Teague or Shabazz Napier. And Gorgie Dieng's just been like, everything proof. He's just been awesome ever since Cat's gone down. The price continues to go up, and he just continues to exceed it. And centers have been crushing Brooklyn. Covington was probably going to be a good play regardless because of how much Brooklyn turns the ball over and the pace that they play at. And with Cat out, his rebounding numbers usually go up, and Brooklyn's a terrible rebounding team. So interest in all those guys. And then you got like the deep or deeper kind of plays on Minnesota. It just kind of dawned on me like they've got Keelan Martin, who finally came back and played after going down to the G League for a little. Went for 28 DraftKings points in 30 minutes in that Cleveland game, with Wiggins out. And don't think many people around the industry are going to be on him. And he was a stud in the summer league, Keelan Martin. Like, he could be a really nice value play if he's going to play again. Maybe even gets ruled in as the starter.
He played 30 minutes against Cleveland, bro. He played 30 minutes against Cleveland. Yeah. He was a big reason Teague and Napier only played like 25 for Teague and 23 for Napier because he was balling.
Yep. Yeah. And Culver, I'd honestly prefer Keelan Martin, but Culver can do it as well. He played 24 minutes, so deeper value guys, but plays that I like now that, we know exactly that Wiggins and Cat aren't going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think the obvious things are changing. Like Teague in the past would be a fire away. Covington seems to be the consistent one. He seems to be pretty consistent. I think he's really cheap on FanDuel too. But Teague seems to be in hot water with this team. They don't really seem committed to him. They don't really seem to trust him. We're seeing they're trying their best to play their young guys over them to see what they have with these young guys. That's probably what it comes down to. And Keelan Martin is the most interesting as far as like the ancillary guys, like the backup guys, the guys you don't know. Doesn't mean he's going to get 30 minutes again. Maybe this time Shabazz in a revenge game gets more time. Maybe Teague, they go back to Teague because they ultimately lost that game. Who knows? But I do know that this Keelan Martin dude balled the fuck out against Cleveland, and he's 3,300 on it's very cheap on both sites. So I know it's maybe you don't need it, right? We have Wood and we have a ton of we have Giannis and that's it. We don't have a ton of studs. Maybe you don't need it, but it's there. It's interesting. With that said, I'm gonna kick it back over to you. I know I didn't talk about the value. There really wasn't much to add. Let's go over to power forwards.
All right. So at power forward, I already talked about Giannis over there. So John Collins, the only spend up.
One other interesting point before we leave Minnesota: Trevion Graham just got ruled out.
Yeah,
he's another one that I think was getting minutes.
He started the last game, so we may see Keelan Martin ruled in as a starter. Yeah. I pray not, because then
it's chalk.
Because no one in the industry even knows about Keelan Martin right now. Right. Like, 3% of the industry. He gets ruled in as a starter, he'll become 40%.
And Trevion Graham played 25 minutes, by the way, against Cleveland. That's a good chunk.
Yeah. So you know who also we didn't touch on, but Noah Vonleh played like 25 minutes that game.
Yeah. He was the reason that Dieng didn't, because he was just playing better, so they just rolled with him. So interesting. It's very interesting you bring that up, because one of those guys you figure is going to smash against Brooklyn today.
Yeah, probably both.
Possibly both, yes. All right, back to you.
Yeah, Johnny Collins, the price is real high. The usage has been good, 40% last game against the Bulls, 26% the first game Trae Young got hurt, and like 23% his first game back after the 25-game suspension. Double-digit rebounds in 2 of 3. The price tag is high, but he's kind of earned it. And, if they have any success against Orlando, it's going to be through him. Wowzers. Then Robert Covington, who we just touched. Wendell Carter Jr. for the Bulls, 5'8". Bigs do well against Milwaukee. Getting pretty close to 30 minutes. Double upside. I'm with it. Carmelo Anthony, 5,300, another Trailblazer. Probably my least favorite of the starting group of Trailblazers, but the price is low, and it really could be any one of them that does well. And, the obvious value in Christian Wood at 3,800. Give me some of that, and give me some more of that. And now we have the Noah Vonleh that just kind of got thrown into our laps. I feel like there should be another one down here from... maybe Atlanta? Oh, no, from, you think Nazir Little will get some run today? Or, like, maybe Anthony Tolliver, I think, has been getting it. But with no Scal?
I think that, believe it or not, I think Tolliver is more likely to see it. Nazir seems to be something they kind of moved on from. I mean, even that last game, Nazir saw 11 minutes. Tolliver at least played 18. He was actually really efficient while he was on the court, too. 4 for 5 from 3. Holla.
Anthony Tolliver, we probably don't need it today.
Yeah. Are you playing him over your boy you just talked about in Minnesota? Keelan.
Vonleh?
Keelan.
Keelan Martin? Fuck me.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm probably playing 50% Keelan Martin myself.
Dirties. Dirties. So, hey.
My favorite play on the slate all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, just like that. The snap of a finger. Boom. Deuces. I'm with you on the positional stuff. We talked about a lot of the guys already. I'm a little higher on Carmelo because his price is so soft on both sides. And just liking Portland, I'm heavy on Portland regardless, most of those guys. So I'll have a good amount of Melo. I think John Collins, like you said, I think he's overpriced. But I also think that the player pool there, the position pool there, isn't that drastic. So would it surprise me if he went for 50 or 55 and that was enough today? No. He's capable. The usage was massive. And in that last game, they were getting their ass kicked, and they still played Conley. They were letting him on the court, blowout city, just go. Garbage time. Let's go. I don't know why, but they did it. I don't love Collins, but again, with the lack of pool, I'll end up having probably around 15 to 20% of him just because, players with upside. Lack of ceilings, I guess. But I'll have more Giannis. Giannis, for sure. What else you got, Paulie? Oh yeah, I guess Christian Wood. You touched on him. Let's talk about him for a second. Like, I just don't see a way around it. Like, with Markieff and Blake doubtful. Like, I know he's chalk, and like people love to fade chalk and all this kind of stuff. I just don't think the probability is on the right side. If you're, is on your side if you plan on fading it or going like underweight. I just don't. I can understand not wanting to like the lock button because you still want to have maybe 20% of your teams that have a different build just in case it comes down to like raw points and like he doesn't get there because all these mid-tier plays that are strong all go for 50 like we saw with Ish that day a few slates ago. But I don't know, man. 3,800, 41 on FanDuel. It just seems very tough to I don't know. I'll be heavy.
I think he's getting 6x.
Right. Yeah.
That's happening.
Right. And
with the better than 0 chance that he goes for 9 or 10x.
Correct. Correct.
His worst game was the last one. He played 23 minutes, only got 13 points. I'm pretty sure Blake Griffin played that game.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, he did.
Game before that, he played 23 minutes. He went for 36. That's 9.5x today.
Right.
Every time he plays over 20 minutes, he usually gets you about 24 or more DraftKings points, and he's gone for 49 at times, 35, like 38. So he's got that 10x upside on top of he's just very likely to get you 6x. He'll probably be my highest owned player. I hate, but like, why fight it? Just fucking play the good plays.
Suck it long and hard. That's it.
Yeah.
Take us to centers, Paulie.
Yeah. Drum Dog Millionaire. I think he's an interesting spend up that people probably won't play. There's still this stigma that Gobert's is, center stopper, and really centers have done pretty well against him this year. He's still a good shot blocker, but guys get rebounds against Utah. They're not very big. Curious what his history is against Utah. He went for 83 in overtime 2 years ago, and went for 40 and 45 last year, but that was when Blake Griffin was most likely there. He's an interesting, usage is going to be high. I think, he could go for 50, 55, be the second highest scoring player on the slate, and he'll definitely be low owned. Nikola Vuce is a phenomenal play at 7,900. Bam Adebayo's got to be one of the best plays on the slate. I don't know what the guy at the pricing table was doing with this one. The guy's gone for 48 or more in 10 of his last 13 games. He feels very similar to Christian Wood. It's what's your downside? 5x, with 8, 9x as your upside. I guess the upside's not as probable because he doesn't go for 65 all that often. But I mean, I don't know. 38 is 5x. I think he's getting you 38 today against Washington. Hassan Whiteside feels even crazier at 7,100. I don't know. I mean, DraftKings always been soft at center, but in his last 6 games, he does have an 18 against Utah in a game where they just kind of ran him off the court. Other than that, he's got 41, 50, 44, 46, and 63. And he's taking on Phoenix, who, even with Ayton, are terrible defensively against centers. Just, what the fuck? Gorgie Dieng has multiple games in the... I mean, 7-1. They lowered his price.
What the fuck? That was good. That was great.
Gorgie Dieng, centers against Nets. Yeah. Give me some Jared Allen, centers against Gorgie Dieng. Jared Allen went for 35 his last game. He did have a little 2-game funk, but before that, he went for 48, 43, another 2-game funk, then another 40 and a 38. This is a good spot for him. And then we got a couple value options. If there's no DeAndre Ayton, I'm cool with Aaron Baines. If DeAndre Ayton plays, I'm very cool with him. Jean Mahinmi, it's big, should get a lot of minutes, battling with Bam. Alex Len's, I think, an interesting contrarian pivot off Christian Wood, pairing with Christian Wood kind of play. He got 20 minutes last game after returning from injury, missed 2 games or something like that. Went for 20. Then, before he had that rash of injuries, he had gone for 47, 35, 28, 22, 33, with a couple of duds, but the minutes were pretty solid, 20 plus. And they're just losing bodies left and right. Somebody's got to get minutes, and usually when he gets minutes, he does well. So I like him as well. And then you got min-price Mo Bamba with Aaron Gordon hurt. Mo Bamba is probable to play. He does have a tag. They played him 17 minutes on the 23rd. He hasn't played since then. So I would need to know that he's ruled in, but he's min-price. Even if he only gets 13 to 15 minutes, It's Atlanta. Like, he should do that dirty. So if he's ruled in, I'll play a little bit of him too.
As center, I think, is probably the deepest position. Well, maybe not anymore. Now it's just, I don't know. But center's deep, man. You got Whiteside, who's the obvious. I mean, he's probably everybody's favorite play, at least on DraftKings, where his price is crazy low. Like, what the fuck, like you said. Bam Adebayo, I love. On FanDuel, he's more expensive, but he's power forward eligible, and that's huge. On FanDuel, I'm willing to overpay for guys a little bit. You have to. Everybody, you're going to overpay. It sets up nicely for stars and scrubs every slate. So I do like Bam on both sides, but on FanDuel, it's a little easier to play him. With that said, I'll still have a lot of Bam against Washington. Like you said, even if this game blows out, it's hard to see if not at least hitting his floor, which is typically pretty solid in this matchup. Vooch gets a boost against Atlanta with no Gordon. Drummond, like you said, man, he's going to go overlooked because of Gobert. And the usage, he's like, Drummond's at like 1.4 fantasy point per minute with Blake off the court. And that was the case last year when they played together too. So I'm with you, man. Drummond, you got Jared Allen, Gorgie Dieng. Center's loaded. It's not a fun. I don't think it's that fun on FanDuel when you have to pick one of these guys. It sucks. Really sucks. But on DraftKings, Whiteside's price kind of separates him. I mean, you even have, you want to hear an off the board play to what he's talking about? Brolo against the Bulls, man. And everybody's healthy, but I'm pretty sure he smashed against them a little bit ago. And there's no room, though. There's just no room between all these other plays. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on.
All centers smash against the Bulls. All centers. Your favorite spot in DFS.
It is. So there's a lot out there. With that said, that's going to do it for the breakdown portion. At this point, we'll kind of kick it. I'm going to tweak some of these projections at WiseTake.com, update my core plays article. While we switch over to the injury news feed, this is a feature that our members who are subscribed for monthly memberships or higher at WiseTake.com get access to. Just basically Slack channel with all the injury feeds coming in. We have multiple channels. We have channels for speaking, for communicating as well. This one is just for injury news. Giannis will not have a minutes limit. Eric Bledsoe will start and be on a minutes limit. So interesting. Bledsoe will be on a limit, but Giannis will not. And the Bucks will start Bledsoe, DiVincenzo, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Sucking on hard.
You like Melo or Kent Bazemore better?
I like Melo better than Bazemore, but I have to admit that I like Bazemore more than I'm comfortable with today. Like, I'm not going to have any substantial on him. You don't need it, right? We got these other guys, but...
7-3-2.
What you going to do? All day. All day. Updating projections. Projections are updated for Karl Anthony Towns being OWT, as Fred Flintstone used to say. You just watched the Flintstones? You remember that?
OUT.
He'd be like, OWT, out. Fred Flintstone, he used to say it all the time.
Did you switch over to the injury feed screen?
Yeah. Okay. Switch City.
Excellent.
So now you can do the dirty.
Switch City.
Am I off camera? Am I gonna be able to do the dirty at this point in time? That's basically what Paulie D just said. Am I allowed to do the dirty?
Am I allowed to do the dirty now?
Are we good here? Can the dirty be done or what? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Keelan Martin, brah. How much Keelan Martin you gonna play, Paulie?
Right now I'm at 40%.
Wow. Substantial. I'm with you, though. I can't argue off of that. I mean, they're even more than they were. What about Keita Bates-Diop? Any interest in that guy? Not really, right? He's just not doing much.
Yeah, but Trayvon Graham out, yes. Like he was like the baller supreme in the preseason and summer league, so a little bit.
Baller supreme?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big status
he was,
right there, bro.
But Keelan Martin kind of stole it from him. But
baller supreme.
Yeah. They tried to make, like, it'd be like summer league, and Keita Bates-Diop would be like chalk because he was like supposed to be like getting all the shots from Minnesota, and then like Keelan Martin would go for 40 and Bates-Diop would go for like 25.
Just doing dirties on the reg.
Yeah. Which game's your favorite to game stack on this slate?
It's still the Suns game. I'd like to know if Aiden was starting or not. But it would probably still be the Suns game.
Yeah. What's number 2?
I think the Brooklyn game. Now, realistically, like normally the way my mentality would work is the Miami game, but I think I'm a little nervous about that. I'm into the Miami side specifically. I'm not a whole ton into the other one, aside from the McRae and Troy Brown, Peyton on FanDuel kind of thing. But maybe that should be the second. But as of right now, it's the Brooklyn Minnesota game. Maybe that's recency bias because we just got the news and I'm excited about it. I'm ready to do dirties. What do you think?
No, I think that's my second one too. Like Miami, Washington could be great if Miami has like a letdown and the game stays close.
Right.
Washington stayed close with some good teams when we didn't think they would, and they're home. Atlanta, Orlando's the one I find the hardest to stay close because Orlando's just really good, and I don't really think they even need Aaron Gordon at this point. How good Isaac's become. And then Milwaukee, Chicago, they're like not 100%. That's probably number 2B tied with that Brooklyn, Minnesota game. But the Brooklyn, Minnesota, both teams are shorthanded. Both teams have no size. Like, it should just be like a street ball, up and down transition kind of game. And that's, usually really good for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree. Sevens and dirties. Just the thought of Robert Covington grabbing some Taurean Prince defense is just, I don't know.
Yeah. 7-3 Tracy.
Doing something strange for a piece of change.
Doing something dirty.
Covington, Jeff Teague. Putting some updates in the article Nation. Core Plays article I'm updating now for the cat news. Going to be higher, obviously, on some of those Minnesota plays today. Let's take some questions.
Did Satoransky get ruled in for the Bulls?
I haven't heard anything yet. For cash games, this is from Wig, one of our members. For cash games, is Big D a must to roster? Ooh, looks like Paulie D lost some. Oh, he's back?
I said yes.
Oh, yes. Paulie says yes. I agree. I think we have enough value to make it work pretty comfortably, so I don't see why you wouldn't play the person with the most potential, like the highest floor and the highest ceiling on the slate. I probably wouldn't cash. Speaking of cash, who would you say are your cash game like core guys right now with all this news that we got? Giannis, of course, because we have the value. That's one.
Wood, Giannis,
Christian Wood, and Giannis. Yeah.
Wood. Covington.
I'm with that. The minutes have been phenomenal for him.
Somebody from Washington.
Dirty dude.
IT2.
Maybe you could argue Whiteside on DraftKings. Whiteside, because he's just gonna
Whiteside,
be so popular.
Whiteside.
Maybe Butler on DraftKings as the next one.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
7-8.
Yeah,
something like that. 30s and 7s. Yeah. Shout out to Rocksteady. That was for you, bro. Pull up the YouTube chat. Reddish or Bazemore?
Reddish.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent on that. I think they're both about equal for me today. Mitchell or Booker?
Would you play Collins in cash?
If I could reach him, yeah, but I like the other guys we'd mentioned more. So I probably would just rock because you figure Giannis is going to take one of those slots. You figure Whiteside will take another one. Like you can either play Covington and go kind of cheap at that point, or go up to Collins. It's tough.
Yeah.
Smash that like button. Everybody watching now, please smash that like button. Likes help us out, allow us to continue to keep doing it. So dirty it up. Mitchell or Booker? Daniel, I see your question. I'll answer it next. But Mitchell or Booker?
Booker.
Will y'all have some Teague and K Martin? Yes, I will.
I'm definitely gonna have K Martin and some Teague.
Yeah. Lillard, Mitchell, or Dinwiddie on DraftKings for tournaments?
Ooh, good question.
That is a good question. This is
Dinwiddie, Lillard, Mitchell in that order.
Man, I'm probably Dinwiddie, Lillard, Mitchell. Yeah, that's what you said. I'm in the same boat. Bam, Collins, Woods, or Bam, Whiteside, Thaddeus?
Bam Collins Woods or Bam Collins Thaddeus?
Or Bam, Whiteside, Thaddeus.
Collins Woods. The first one with Woods and Bam.
Yeah, I'd rather play Wood. I mean, personally, I'd like you to find a way to get Bam, Whiteside, and Collins. Bam, Whiteside, and Woods. But if I had to pick one of the three, one of those two, I would pick the same one Paulie picked, the first one. Sucking on it. What? Well, Whiteside will be a better play if Aiden plays. That wasn't a question, but I do think it's indifferent. Aiden is not a good defender. I'm more interested in Aiden. I want to play Aiden if he's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because no one's going to be on that
one. Right. Doing dirts. Right.
He was like 2%, went for like 40-something the first game he came back.
Let me ask you this. Does this injury news make you like want to raise your Giannis exposure now that you have like several different ways to reach him?
Yeah, I'm probably going to grab 40 of him.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. This is basically ultimately it's like ended up doing. Oh. Hard.
What ownership?
Lost you for a second there. What'd you say? Uh-oh. Service City. Got that booty connection. That's what I call it. I call it the booty connection. He's back with the booty connection.
How much did you say you're playing Wood?
Wood right now I'm at 100, but I don't know. I'm thinking about going 80 and leaving myself room. I just find it so hard to believe he's not going to be in a winning lineup today.
Yeah,
it's just hard. You know what I mean? And then like if you do the 80 thing, you're playing for hope, but like if it doesn't work out, you're gonna be like, damn, I could have had like 20% more teams with this mother sucker. You know, I rarely do. You know me, Paulie. I rarely go over like 50%. Really.
I'm
perplexed.
Tony Montana.
No.
I mean, like, I basically just jacked up Keelan Martin and Wood and just let the opto do what it wanted. And, like, I got, like, 30% or more of Lillard, Butler, McCollum, Whiteside, Mitchell, Covington, Giannis, Drummond, Bam, and Dinwiddie. Like, if those value plays come through, those got to be the players that you want the combinations of, right? Like,
yeah, I don't disagree.
And this feels pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna increase Booker. I didn't get enough of him, but I generally like what I'm seeing.
What position? I forget what position Keelan Martin is over here. Shooting guard, right? Shooting guard, small forward.
Shooting guard, small forward. Right. Yeah. Oh no, just small forward.
Oh, he's just small forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, wow, interesting. So where the hell? We got 9 minutes to lock, Nation. Building squad, building season is on. Here we go, crunching them teams down at the wire. Once again, I'm going to remind all of you guys watching, if you could smash that like button. I have 4,300 left on DraftKings with guard spots. Who can I put there? Those questions are always...
4,300 at what position?
Guard.
Guard?
Got like Augustine, Clarkson. That's the territory.
Terrence Ross.
Terrence Ross, yeah. You could.
Jordan Clarkson.
Nagel him in there.
Yeah. I go Terrence Ross or Jordan Clarkson.
Butler and Vooch, or Adebayo and Dame?
Ooh. Adebayo Dame.
Adebayo Dame. Wanna be a baller. I'll call her. Am I really still not getting this dude? Damn.
Who?
Martin. I'm like, he's projecting fairly well, and I'm still not. I guess you know what it is, because the slate feels like I don't need him, and like his raw points aren't great. So that's really what it comes down to. Seven minutes to lock, nation. Let me get the CSV life ready, though. Get it ready, though. Already, though.
How much Shabazz Napier are you going to play?
That's a good question. Let me see where I'm at with that. Napier, as of now, I know it's not giving me a ton. I got like 10% because there's so many guards. Tough one. I'd have to lower one of these. I don't feel great about that. I do like him. I mean, his ownership's going to be low, so that's probably enough. I just wanted to get some action down. Action Jackson down. D'Angelo Russell, what up for tomorrow? All right. That's real important right now at a time like this. 5 minutes to lock, and that's what we're dealing with. Yo, how much Gorgie Dieng are you playing?
Not a ton, because he's expensive and like too close to like Whiteside and Bam and them, and I just think they've got much higher ceilings and positions deep, and I've got a lot of Christian Wood at forward, and
right.
I just don't have that much room for him.
Right. How much Drummond do you have?
33.
Yeah. That's a good.
Might be a little excessive, but
yeah, it's a pretty good stance. I think it's a good spot. You're well overweight. It's a good thing. Okay, no.
that's how my girlfriend says.
That was good. That was
I'm on fire again.
Oh man, bro. Yes. Oh man, Nation. Those of you who did not watch the live stream on Saturday, Oh man, you were in for. You just missed it. It was awesome. Paulie was on point, man. That show was just hysterical. Loved it. Loved every
Stevie, you know what your problem is?
You don't listen. That was just beautiful. Poor Stevie. Sitting there like, what the hell? Like, what did I do?
What did I do?
You did nothing, my friend.
You know what you fucking did.
You know what you did, bro. You know what you did. You did the dirty to the neighbor. Culver's popped up in the ownerships as far as projected ownership. That's interesting that, just how much exactly.
How much? I mean, that's who the industry knows. He started last time.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Guess it does. Guess it does. Three minutes to Lockington. What are the first games anyway? Just the Miami.
I think we have
2 games: Miami, Washington, Atlanta, and Orlando. Those are the 2.
Yeah, and then And then one at 7:30.
No. Then I think 8:00 is the next one. 2 minutes to lock. Here we go. We were, you know what that is? That's us racing to lock. That's what that is. Here we go. Here we go. Go. It is what it is. It's coming in. Coming in hard. Coming in long and hard. You got a lot of Isaac though, right?
Yeah.
How much? How much Isaac?
37.
37, man. Long and hard and everything. Holla for $1. Holla for $1.
At the buzzer. Got him up.
Buzzer indeed. Winding into Lock Nation. Hope your shit is ready. Hope your shit is ready. Just riding.
So now is when I would go back to DraftKings and download my entries, Chris, and then
take a look at who you actually got.
Yeah. Put it into the swap though, the late swap though.
Late swap though.
To tell me what I got.
Early in the morning, late swap though.
Yeah, I never thought Christian Wood would be the all-time highest owned player in my MME career, but that's what he is.
It's the world we live in, bro. The world we live in. What are you gonna do? 732. You know how it goes. Come on.
Yep.
All right, Nation. We are at lock. That is gonna do it for us today. Appreciate you guys rocking with us, hanging with us. We will be back at it tomorrow. Looks like we have another small slate. A lot of injury news we're already getting today for tomorrow. So curious to see what that looks like. With that said, hit the like button. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Core 4 will be out later tonight for tomorrow first look. And then, of course, the game-by-game breakdown I'll do some point in the midday. And we'll cap it all off with the Wise stream. Join the nation if you want to be a better DFS player. WiseTake.com. We got you. It's what we do. Help make you a better DFS player. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake nation, as always, good luck.
Peace.